Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about the tropical Atlantic yet again. So today we're looking at another disturbance. This one just came off of the coast of Africa and already has a very good chance of forming in the next 48 hours and 5 days. So this is one of those storms that we may see rapidly intensify in the main development region, which doesn't happen every single year, but we usually get one storm or two storms that does this, and they end up being major hurricanes. So we saw that happen with Irma, which went from tropical storm to Category 3 hurricane very early and ended up becoming a Category 5. Then we had, I believe, Hurricane Maria do about the same thing. Ended up being a strong Category 4. And Florence did that. Ended up being a major hurricane. We had Dorian, I believe, also did that. Also a major hurricane. So this is the type of storm that you have to look out for, especially if you live along the coastline and in anywhere along these island coastlines as well, and all the islands in general. So let's go into the details real quick. So, showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located several hundred miles south of the Cape Verde Islands continues to show some signs of organization, although recent satellite wind data indicate that the system lacks a surface circulation. Upper-level winds, however, are expected to become conducive for further development during the next day or two, and a tropical depression is likely to form by Thursday or Friday, while the system moves westward at 10 to 15 miles per hour across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic Ocean. Formation chance through 48 hours is medium at 40%, and through 5 days is high at 80%. So, let's start things off here in the GFS model. So, we have Peter, Rose, remnants of Odette. So, as we move through here, you can see that both Rose and Peter do revert back to tropical depressions. The remnants of Odette are kind of swirling up here in the northern Atlantic. Then Peter kind of reforms here right around Bermuda. But at the same time, our disturbance here is really starting to ramp up. This is late Wednesday, early Thursday. This could be when this storm forms. Now, by Friday, this storm is most likely either a strong tropical depression or a weak tropical storm. And throughout Saturday, we do see this intensify down to 970 millibars. So over the weekend, down to 970 millibars into Monday, and we see this start moving north and intensifying all the way down. I believe the peak is 965 millibars. So I would not be surprised if we see a Category 1 or 2 hurricane at least from this after it starts moving to the north in waters that have been hardly touched by any tropical system. We've had, up until recently, a high pressure over here which did steer everything in the Gulf as well as on the eastern seaboard. That's why we had Mindy, Nicholas, and Odette all form right in here, hugging the coastline of the western Atlantic. But this storm is now going to be in open waters, and if this storm does intensify and expand like it does here, Bermuda will probably have a huge rip current risk. The Canaries and the Azores will have huge rip current risks. But I would not be surprised if we see this storm start to veer in track over the next few days. This is the end of the model run, which means there's a lot of uncertainty around it. Now, if we go to the Canadian model, which is a little bit lower in terms of hours, 240 is the max here, but it shows Peter and Rose both going back to tropical depressions, Odette swirling in the northern Atlantic, then both Rose and Peter both deform pretty much, and our disturbance here starts to ramp up down to 990 millibars. This is on next Tuesday, so that's the 28th. Storm starts to move to the north, and we are at about 980-ish, the 980s. So that could be a Category 1 hurricane, and at the same time we have Peter, which probably reforms here in the western Atlantic. So 2 models indicating a fairly strong storm, one being stronger than the other. The GFS is forecasting a stronger storm at the moment than the Canadian model. But this is definitely something that we have to track over the next few days, because based on that uncertainty, this storm lasts through the end of both of these model runs, which means that the cone, which is usually 5 days and is even fairly wide, if you're going out 10 days, that cone is extremely wide and the margin of error is huge. So based on, let's just go back here to the GFS. Based on the GFS, if you live in Bermuda, follow this storm. The Azores and the Canary Islands should monitor this system just to see, since this is in the middle of the Atlantic, if it veers to the east, the west. We just have to wait and see. In terms of the Canadian model has this storm hugging closer to the south instead of making that turn to the north. So the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico should monitor this system according to the Canadian model, which almost covers everything in the Atlantic. So we have a potentially significant storm which may impact almost anywhere. So I'll be tracking this system very closely, as well as if you live on the coastlines in the Atlantic, also just monitor the system very loosely. At the moment, we'll get more information as it comes along. But what do you think is going to happen with this storm? Do you think we will see a major hurricane out of this? Comment in the comment section down below. But that is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. And I will see you guys next time.